Peace and blessings, family. This is your boy Gerald. It is the 2nd of November, 2017. How is everybody doing? I know some of y'all are playing catch up, and first and foremost, I thank you for your time. I thank you for, at a minimum, seeing the importance of your life and making a decision, not asking for permission, but making a decision to see the value in your existence. While the rest of the world is on this tangent of we're in the rapture, something's going to occur in the coming days, weeks, or whatever, we still tend to pick and choose when it was always prescribed from day one. No man will know the hour nor the time of your last breath. No man. So the question that should be asked, why are you looking at demise, your death, instead of looking at your life, choosing to live? The truth be told is this: most of you are terrified. Most of you are allowing your hang-ups. And I'm not saying this out of shade. I'm saying this out of compassion. I'm saying this out of love. Because indirectly, you are robbing yourself of what you rightfully deserve. You're supposed to be in peace, not in pieces. The truth is, what? We got 7.3 billion people in the world. And out of that 7.3 billion people in the world, 50% of them don't have a clue of who they are, even though you wake up every morning and you greet it to that person that was made perfect. I'm talking to you. Not your persona, not your alter ego. I'm talking to that little boy that knows the reality that one day you're going to be a man. You're going to understand the weight of your last name and the responsibility that comes with it. Truth be told, there are a lot of people that are walking around this planet that are terrified for what tomorrow will bring. You're supposed to live like that. But you won't see or hear people that are placed on false pedestals talking about that. Why? Because they don't have a clue who they are either. They're too busy taking in false content. They're going with the flow. So let's back this up a tangent. How can you have a clue or understanding of where you're intending to be if you don't even know where your feet are right now? I'll do one better. You realize 50% of the people walk on this planet right now secretly long for affection. They long to be nurtured. They long for days of past, not even having a clue that the best days are in front of you. But there's a preparation that's required so that you can understand what is going to be bestowed to you. But we have some that want to be realists, but they can't even be real to the person in the mirror. And they wonder why the one thing that they've always longed for, to have a fruitful relationship, it always falls apart now, doesn't it? No matter how witty you may be, no matter how educated you may have become, it still does not bring what binds the relationship together. So what ends up happening? You get frustrated. You think, well, you know what? If I can't beat them, I might as well accept the dogma and what is being conveyed, because that must be fact. But really, that is nothing but fear. That is nothing but dialogue. That is nothing but illusion. So you have to make a decision. Oh, that's the thought. Because see, what you can't see, family, is, see, you know I got my coffee, right? And I filled this sucker up to the brim. And not being respectful to my cup, it has overflowed. So give me a second so I can grab a napkin and get this little puddle I'm making. Just give me 10 seconds. Where you going? You may be hearing some clicking sounds in the background. That's nothing but Tyson. You know Tyson is by my side. You know he is from day one. My trusted companion. Someone actually at one time said, you know, Gerald, you know, I'm not trying to be sacrilegious, but you know, with the tarot card, you got the card called the Fool. But what do you see? You see a male looking to the sky, and to his feet is his companion, his loyal companion. And I didn't take offense to it. I didn't. But I know that divinely God placed Tyson in my life to also make me a better man. Because I remember one time, a couple years ago, when I lived at my other location, my other residence. Y'all remember when I had my apartment? And that was actually a period of time where I was seeking closure, or I don't want to use the term being a recluse, because I wasn't, but I was definitely introverted in my thought. That, for a lot of y'all may remember, I used to use the term, I'm embracing my walk, my spiritual walk. Well, I'm still on that journey. And I thank God that I had that moment of solitude, because that would be the foundation, as well as much clarity and preparation for where I am now. I say that because a lot of people, for some odd reason, you tend to lowball who you are. You don't give yourself the needed nurturement that you long for. And after a period of time, you will find yourself at a crossroads where you're going to either accept or implode. Because the weight, the stress, somebody may just say, that's just stress of your environment. Let's not be facetious. Let's call it for what it is. I've echoed it from day one. You are a spiritual being first. Now, I know there are going to be plenty of people that they're going to have a position of, I don't want to hear that, Gerald, because that's not where my mind is, and that does not apply to my life, because if that was the case, I wouldn't be where I am today. But just step back a second. If we can agree that our actions have a prelude, better known as manifestation, well, anything that is manifested must first be spoken into existence. Well, you can't speak something into existence until it is formed by a thought. Now, the real question is, where did that thought come from? And did that thought have your best interest? Or was it just simply a distraction? But then you have to invest in yourself. You must make a commitment to you. I'm saying this for somebody because the war that's found in your mind is nothing but the imbalance that's found in your spirit, because you're not at peace. So if you're not in peace within yourself, do you actually think that you're going to be in balance in your environment? No, because your environment is nothing but a direct reflection of your state of being, your state of mind. So if your mind's not right, your feet ain't gonna be right. And if your feet ain't right, guess what? You're not gonna make sound decisions. You're gonna be too inundated in what's going on outside of you. But guess what? Your greatest example of that is illustrated every day. It's called when you go in and outside your door. Your inner sanctum is where you lay your head. And shouldn't you find peace where you lay your head? Come on now. Come on. Because see, you don't have to do it for me. You have to do it for you. You're obligated to the person in the mirror looking back. You know, that person that has natural God-given talent. Yeah, what about the talents that you were born with? How long are you going to leave them inside? What are you waiting on? Are you afraid that they won't be accepted? Well, maybe you might want to consider this. Maybe it's not that it will be accepted by the environment that you choose to find comfort in. Did you ever think that that environment that you seek comfort in is not the environment you should have been to begin with? Because the people that you call friends, first, that word friend is very sacred. It should have love in it. It should have inspiration in it. It should also be your validation too. It should never find harm. And truth should be woven through every action in that sacred union. Now, I get it. I understand. Some of y'all are young. You don't understand that urge to be intimate, how powerful it really is. So I don't expect you to truly understand why so many people may have told you otherwise. Don't do it. Wait. Because it's power. Your essence is connected. It also is there's a responsibility there too, because guess what? Demons exist. They've always existed. They've always existed. But a demon cannot possess anything unless it's welcome. And does it not surprise you that When you open that door of acceptance, pain is not too far. Sometimes it's blunt. Sometimes it's very methodical. I always use the analogy of being set up for the clip up. And you find your place, you find yourself in your mind of saying this. If I only knew that this is what it is, I would have never. Number one, when are you going to stop beating yourself up? Because the moment that you decide to stop beating yourself up, that is also the same time that you can take accountability. Now, before you shut your emotions down, because I also understand there's a lot of people that are going to look for validation for their bad behavior. And I'm going to tell you this right now. How long do you think that pattern is going to continue without a price that you're not going to be ready to pay for? Because you're setting the stage for a great disappointment. Now, I'm going to say something. And I was holding this in. But when I saw it, it screamed something very. Everybody knows about the tragedy of Kenneka Jenkins, right? Everybody knows. When you go back and look at my videos, especially in July and definitely in August, you heard me give some warnings out. And I kept hovering around someone making a decision and to watch their friends. When this whole story came to light, see, I'm thinking about it right now. The hairs on my arms are standing up. I saw a lot of similarities in that. And I hadn't felt that way in a long, long time. But the one thing that I've noticed as a society, when it comes to our own well-being, we tend to give compromises that put us in harm's way. You've heard me countless times say, be cautious of the people you keep your company with. Be cautious with the people you break bread with. And the one thing that I have not seen is that if you go to your local grocery store, Walmart, used to be at one time even the post office, but they don't do it no more. They used to always have that wall of the missing. But because now we're more digital, everything's on, it's real time, the effort's not there, but people are still coming up missing. Our children are still putting themselves in harm's way. And I mentioned this the other day too. You do know, parents, that now more than ever, the push to embrace atheism in our schools is very, very active. And in turn, That is desensitizing our children. Now let's keep in mind this. Your greatest example of your children is you. So if your child sees you just run, frustrated, in tears, destabilized over a constant period of time, they're going to accept or assume that that is normal behavior. Same thing with our single parents out here. Those of you that are dating, if you're constantly allowing the dates to have access to your home, you're teaching your children indirectly that is what a relationship is about. Please be cautious of that. Please. Because until you know that person, first of all, the greatest gift you can ever bestow a person is time to be able to have access to your life. You do understand that. You can't buy time. That's why time management is so important. But now more than ever, people have this mindset. The best way I can acknowledge it as an example is the classic song by Prince, 1999. If you listen to the lyrics, as well as his other classic, and he had countless, Sign of Times is another one. If you listen to the lyrics, does that not remind you of today? Now, we can easily just put this in a box and say, hey, we're in the last days. That's an accurate statement. That's an accurate statement. We are in our last days, but we don't know when. So, not to live in a fearful state of mind, the question should be asked, why aren't you living to be the best you? What's keeping you from allowing the person that you really are to be seen, to be experienced, to build with? Why aren't you? What's keeping you from that smile? You know it's bad. That the only reminder of a smile is from an image that you have stored in your phone. See, this may be too old for some of you. See, when I was a teenager, we had scrapbooks. I still got a couple of them. And the reason why I still have them, because I knew even in my teenage years, I'm talking 13, 14, 15, 16, even back then, I knew that one day I would be a father. And I knew that one day that child or children, they're going to go through disappointment. They're going to go through their first heartbreak. They're going to go through pain. And sometimes that can be a teachable tool. See, we don't keep those traditions anymore because we don't allow ourselves to truly communicate how we feel. We tend to demarginalize our emotional state. And then when something happens, and when someone has a nervous breakdown, when there's an acting out, it's always the people left behind trying to figure out why. Why did this person do this? What was going on in their mind? How did this happen? But the signs were already there. Because everything is progressive. It's no different than, we'll use this as an example. You get a disappointment, right? let that disappointment be referenced as a domino. You know dominoes, big five. Okay. And every time you have a disappointment, you put another domino piece down. If and these soup coolers, until you decide to address where the break of communication was, what was the action of what was not needed? How about not accepted? It continues to build. So you really have momentum until you have an outcome, an action. Same thing as cause. What was the cause of this? An action, effect. Why are we looking at the cause? Why are we just accepting it instead of addressing it? Even if you don't agree with it, you still have to have dialogue to acknowledge its presence. But as you look around the world, family, look around. As a society, we are more fragmented than we've ever been. We're more fragmented now than we've been in the last 50 years. And I'm not talking from an economic standpoint. I'm talking from a family standpoint. Because families are not built. They're not treasured. They're not protected as they once were. We let our ego, we allow our pride to cause dissension amongst the people that we should protect. I ain't got to say that. You get a reminder every time you turn the TV on. Fear, hate is the mainstay. That's what's getting all the attention. But guess what? A couple keywords, a couple catchphrases, the impressionable become consumed. Why? Because they don't have a sense of self. They've given up on themselves before they even decided to invest in it. Why aren't we talking about that? You have people that are in positions to sway the tides, to put their foot down, to address. They don't. The reason for that is it doesn't serve their agenda. And I said this from day one. The most vulnerable are our children, because our children are going to be the adults and the inheritors of society in the future. But you're not going to be here forever. Not to sound gloom and doom, but you ain't. So if you don't see value in your life, you cannot expect for you to find promise in your legacy. You're not. That's why soul ties are kicking people's butts. You know why soul ties are so prevalent today? Because they want to acknowledge what truth is. And even when the truth is made visible, because everything done in the dark comes to the light, you still won't abandon the placement. That's why you have so many people running to drama, then turning their back from it, because they have no clue. It's not that you don't have a choice in the matter. Just like now, You can cut this video off right now. But just like all my videos, I only speak to the intended. I want you to have the best life. I want your dreams and reality to be made visible. It's not for me, it's for your legacy. It does not matter what your melanin looks like. It doesn't. It does not matter your gender. Yes, it's no secret. Majority of my listeners are females. You know why? Because they're starting to thaw out. They're starting to see the importance of their lives. They're starting to embrace their uniqueness. Queens, why do you think I keep telling you you are beautiful? You are unique. You deserve to be treasured. You are the greatest resource on this planet. If you don't see it for yourself, it won't matter. Because as long as you don't see it, the people that keep trying to convince you to not do so, use what you got to get where you want. You hear a lot of that. Think like a man, but act like a lady. If you can't join them, feed them. And you have this blatant call for equality. You will never have equality until you decide to love yourself. Don't believe me? Ask the lesbians. 95% of the lesbians out here today do not love themselves. Just so happen the person that they choose to be their lover will not call them out on what makes them broken. Why? Because it's in tandem. You don't speak on my vices, I'm not going to speak on yours. Or you hear this. Well, you know, I got issues and I'm broken and you're broken, but we're going to make this relationship whole. You will never have remnants of what you dream about until you love you. There's no way around that. And here's something that I found very odd. Not odd, but I found had me in awe, excuse me. Did y'all know that 2 weeks ago, legendary singer, Little Richard, did a speech? Did y'all know that? 89 years old. It's on YouTube. And when he gave that speech, the audience was silent for two things. Number one, when he came out on the stage, well, he was in, he couldn't walk, so he was in a wheelchair. They brought him out, and he spoke to the crowd. The man spoke to the crowd, not the artist. So what I'm saying to you, the world has come to see Little Richard and his mystique, his makeup and big glasses and, the superstar, the legendary artist. No. Richard Middleton came to give a speech in his true self. And you know what he said? He said, "You will not find peace of mind until you find you. And until you're willing to commit to find you, you will never find God. God didn't make mistakes when he created you. He made you perfect. So does it not surprise you that the things that you long for are being suppressed, being delayed? This is not punishment. This is preparation. Not everybody can do this. And not everybody should, because it's for you. Just like I keep echoing, I keep feeling this in my spirit. Somebody wants to make a dramatic change with your health. Your reality is you have a cocktail of medicine that you got to take just to feel kind of normal. But guess what? You'll come to understand that if you change the way you eat, you won't need those pills. That's for somebody. And when I'm saying this, because somebody thinks that they got an ailment, but really you actually have an allergy. You have a food allergy. And every time you eat this food, you have not seen a correlation. Every time you do, you feel a side effect. Maybe it be migraines. You know, I don't know, I got this feeling somebody having issues with their intestines. Like, you get a bad case of diarrhea, but you're convinced that, well, no, I can't have this because, you know, I'll use the example, what's that? The milk allergy. I'm just using that as an example, but it's not. It's how you prepare your food and what you're eating. You got to change that up. You got to go back to an age of innocence when before you didn't. When you do that, guess what's going to happen? You'll be able to get rid of all of those pills. You'll get rid of them. Now, lastly, I know some of y'all dream for the day that your last name is going to change. You keep saying to yourself, when is Mr. Right going to come? I'm going to tell you this. Mr. Right, some of y'all may already know him. And for some, I'm feeling this in my spirit. Mr. Right will come when Mrs. Right is ready. So that might be you. So when you do whatever you need to do for the best, for your best interest, whatever it may be, you know, maybe this is the time that you take a sabbatical, or you just basically make a decision that you're going to fall back for a while. And I got this feeling somebody said, well, yeah, if I fall back, then they'll miss me. No, they're not going to miss you. Not the people you think they are. Because they don't appreciate you now and they have access to you. So it's not that. But you will get validation from it, though. You are going to see those people that genuinely have your best interest. You're going to see it. And it'll be painfully, I don't use the word painful, but it will be crystal clear within this next 6 months. You're going to know. You can't turn it away. You're going to know that these people right here never had my best interest. Because you're going to see so many synchronicities play out. And it's going to piss you off. Do not react. Take everything in grace. Everything. Because what you don't realize is you're going to really set a stage for your life to go to the next level. And see where you're going. They can't go. Who am I talking to? You already know it. You dream about it. You dream about this too much to the point it shakes you. It's kind of like being a child waiting on Christmas Day. You already know it's coming because you've seen this in your dreams countless times. You've had validations countless times. Your life is about to come out of the holding pattern that you've been in. You know, I know some of y'all are like, well, it's been over 2 years, Gerald. I don't know nothing else. I mean, just, yeah, but look at it this way, though. Look at what you don't have compared to what you don't miss. See, sometimes God will set us aside, right? And we think we're being punished. And what's happening is those rough edges that we got in our lives that we more or less kind of like, think of a ship that's been sitting out in the ocean, right? After a while, it gets barnacles on the bottom of the hull of the ship. You see it sometimes with, like on whales, they got little barnacles on them and stuff. That doesn't stop them from living. Well, guess what? All those things. I know I got this feeling of somebody saying, you mean like leeches, right? You're like, yeah. I feel your energy like leeches because they've been leeching off of your life. They've been leeching off of your motivation. Been leeching off of your finances. And they have not shown not one iota of investment. But you think that you had, you're just forced to deal with. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I prove it. This might be start for some people because you might be afraid tonight. How about right now? Why don't you pray? Ask God to show you who has been holding you back. Now be careful now, because once you let that fall from your lips, just as it was in the dark, it will come to the light. Stay firm. Stay firm. Do not be shaken. Do not be sure. And your validation will be revealed. Now, lastly, as I put on the title, I put it that way because when's the last time you told yourself you love you? When's the last time? When's the last time you actually said, I deserve to be happy? I deserve to have my abundance. I deserve to have a fruitful life. When's the last time you placed ownership in those thoughts? If you feel funny even saying it, then that means it's been too long. Because until you are able to find comfort in being able for that to fall from your mouth, can you even take grasp of your life? You're not in control of your life, family. Your environment is. Can't you see that? That's why the disrespect is always there. The disrespect is there because you accepted it. This is not shade. This is compassion. And I'm telling you what you already know. I got this feeling right now. You're saying, Gerald, that wouldn't be the case if I dropped 50 pounds. If I had that hourglass figure, I get what I want, but it would not be what you need. You realize how many women drop weight They drop weight and they get in shape, but they don't change their mindset. So in return, what gets ransomed is you end up, yes, you get in shape. You get to play dress up. And you get a whole lot of sex, but you won't find no love. You won't find no support. You won't find any protection. You'll just find a whole lot of agony. That's not your story. It never was. But this may also be the moment that you finally find courage and redefine that beautiful word called friend and apply it where it should be applicable. But some of y'all have also ransomed your emotional state just to have somebody in your life. And that's the reason why you're bitter today. And you think that is normal because you saw your mother that way. Or you saw your dad that way. Maybe your dad, he was miserable, but he didn't show that example. He just stayed drunk all the time. You stayed MIA all the time. He neglected you. And you never was able to let that go. You gotta let that go. You have to. Because until you do, you're basically continuing the soul tie to your offspring. Don't worry. Every question that you have will be answered in the intended time. But you gotta be prepared for the answer when it comes. That does not mean take a position to gloat, to be vengeful. Because what did God say? Vengeance is his. That's why you always see those who are first are made last. And those who are last are made first. Why? Because it is the application that makes humility. And if you don't have humility in your system, inside you, your spirit, you ain't living. You are walking. That's what Walking Dead is really about. Doesn't matter who you know, who you can manipulate to get worldly effects. None of that matters. But if you cannot lay your head and rest, truly rest, it's because you refuse to be the champion of your distraction. But I hope you get there. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your work. And for that, I really do. It helps me discern mine. You realize we see all this bad behavior going on in the world? You know why we see it? Because we give a platform to it. And we turn around and give silence. Let me tell you something. You don't want to be in that line. Because there's going to be somebody that you know that God is going to turn his back on. Make sure it ain't you. Claim your life back. God got something better for you. You'll see. Be blessed.